When it comes to your emotional startup curve, I think about it in terms of three frameworks. The first is your personal CAC. Second, spiral as a signal. And third, we'll talk about self-funding. So let's get into it. What's up, you guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Sanjana. I studied at MIT, got my MBA at Wharton. Somewhere in between all of those case studies and strategy classes, I realized that the hardest thing to build was myself. I am a first-generation immigrant. I went to 10 schools before I got to college. And for most of my life, I thought success was about proving myself. But eventually, something in me knew that it was time to stop relying on that momentum. That's when I realized if I wanted to feel strong and steady and truly confident in myself, I'd have to build that from scratch. And so now I make videos that translate emotional growth into real-world strategy, especially for people navigating identity shifts, pivotal changes, and internal rebuilds. If you're in that place where your sense of self is under construction, when you're spiraling, rebuilding, questioning yourself, but choosing to launch something anyways, you know that it feels right, but it hasn't quite clicked yet. It hasn't quite fallen into place yet. This video is for you because you are the founder of your own life. So get ready to build and scale your rocket ship. So let's talk about the idea of your personal cost of capital, also known as your personal CAC. And if you're in business or have a business background, you've probably heard the phrase customer acquisition cost before. CAC is basically the price that you pay to get someone to pay for your product or service or whatever it is that you're providing. So now I want you to zoom out. I want you to think about your personal life. In your personal life, CAC is not just dollars anymore. It's your time, it's your care, it's your energy. And sometimes it might be money, like if you decide to pick up a tab or an Uber fare that you spend to meet a friend or show up for a date. Mostly, your personal CAC is how much energy you invest into things. It's the time that you spend into things. And it's the opportunity cost of whatever else you could be spending your energy, your time, and even your money on. Your CAC, by the way, also includes the hope and the expectations that you have for other people in your life. If I had to give a formula, I would say your personal CAC is equal to the time plus the money plus the energy plus your hopes and expectations. So here's the question. Who are you spending each dollar of your personal CAC on? Because just like in business, you can spend $1 and attract someone who bails, who's flaky, who only shows up when it's convenient. Or you can spend that same dollar and you can attract someone who actually shows up and who's invested in your success and your well-being as much as you might want to be in theirs. But you guys, that only happens if you're in the right market, if you fully understand and internalize what value you truly bring. And the truth is, a lot of us, we're still pouring so much energy into people who wouldn't even pick us if there was a fire drill. And it's not because we're not worthy. It's just because we've never asked ourselves, am I investing in the right market? Is this my target customer? So the advice I'll give here is whether it comes to your professional development, your career, your romantic relationships, even your friendships, it's better to save that energy, to reserve your personal CAC for people who you actually think will be invested in you and bring as much to the table as you are ready to bring for them. Your time, your care, your energy, and your money are all part of your personal currency, so make sure you spend them wisely. Next up, let's talk about spiral as a signal. You guys, this is a framework that I genuinely repeat to myself whenever I catch myself starting to recognize that if I don't take a moment to have that 2 degrees of separation from what I'm feeling, I'm going to be headed towards a downward spiral. And so instead of viewing those moments where I feel as though, okay, we're starting to spiral just a little bit, instead of being afraid of those moments or trying to even prevent them from happening, I've actually started viewing spiral as a signal. Let's call it SaaS. And so in software and business, SaaS stands for software as a service. It's usually a subscription model that a customer pays on a recurring set basis for continued access to the service, with the expectation that the service is going to maintain its current standards or offerings and continue to evolve. SaaS platforms also have the ability to do things like track metrics, usage rates, feedback loops, and so forth. So hear me out here. Your spiral works in the same way. You might want to cancel your Amazon Prime subscription if you're trying to get tighter on budget, but unfortunately, your nervous system, it's a subscription you've made for a lifetime. And here's the thing, your nervous system is running in the background all the time. And your spiral shows up when your system, which is running its own internal feedback loop constantly, flags something that feels misaligned or unsafe or unresolved. And when it comes to your system flagging these unmet needs, because at the heart of it, that's really what they're pointing to, it's often about what you think would have happened next. And this is where it ties closely into the concept of the personal CAC that we discussed earlier. It comes down to your hopes and expectations a lot of the time, or the internal signal that the things you're investing your personal CAC into might not be right and in your greatest good. If you posted something brave, took a stance, expressed yourself in a way you might not have before, and then you immediately panicked, or say you woke up the next day and you asked yourself, did I do too much? Almost cringing at yourself a little. Oh my God, should I just change it back, or should I take it down? No, that's too crazy. I don't see myself doing that. Or like, that feels like I really put myself out there a lot. If any of this ran through your mind, let me ask you this. If one person, could be a family member, a close friend, if the one person had reached out or texted you, I'm proud of you. You're onto something. Keep going. Would that regret still be there? Or would it allow you to relax just a little bit? When I decided to move across the country solo in my independent era after graduating from the Wharton Business School, I asked myself that question when I posted my first reel publicly, when I talked about mental health, financial safety. Initially, when I started doing that, I asked myself this exact question, and the answer was no. And to this day, I still imagine people who I know care deeply about me and support me whenever I'm having that micro moment of doubt, and I can feel my internal spiral as a signal starting to come into the picture just a little bit. When I'm thinking of whether to hit upload or not, I think about that person, and sometimes I literally do text them, the people I love and who I know are cheering for me, and I tell myself they would want me to do this because they believe in my potential, sometimes even when I don't believe in it. This is the next piece of advice. It doesn't matter if you believe in yourself, because I truly do not believe that you need self-belief to do anything. I just think you gotta hit enter. Whether it's on a job application or a content upload or that vacation that you have been wanting to take for years, or whatever it is that has been nagging in the back of your mind because things feel misaligned. And when we have that moment of, did I do too much? Did I say too much? Should I have stayed? I've realized we ultimately need to start taking ownership of our own sense of self-assurance. The framework of a personal CAC and spiral as a signal is something that I truly have implemented in my own life, and whether it is deciding between saying yes to a date or deciding whether to invest further in a friendship or relationship, I genuinely pause and ask myself, does this feel aligned? Does this feel true? And sometimes it's really about that thought experiment of, if that one person in my life just texted me, you're onto something, keep going, how would I feel? And if I would feel lighter, then you gotta give yourself that reassurance. If you would feel lighter, keep going. So if this video resonated with you, share it with the version of yourself from a year ago. Because even you watching this video right now, it's a testament that you're starting to take that emotional growth and actually applying it in your daily life by choosing what to spend your personal CAC on. And if you've stayed this long, you've spent your personal CAC on further developing that self-trust and reassurance to unlock your potential. As always, I'll see you next time.